So what are we gonna do today, Cousin PW?
The same thing we do every day, Melvin. Try to take over the neighborhood.
So, Cousin BW, why did we just buy all these cases of bleach at the store?
Well, Melvin, I figured we might need it to drink after this next video.
Oh, that bad, huh?
Yeah, that bad. Hey y'all, Bloodwing here. Back to bring some grumpiness to your internet. We're going to do something a little different today. We're not going to look at a video from someone. We're actually going to be reading an article. Now, I first spotted this article several days ago, but I've been sitting on it because when I first read it, I couldn't quite believe it, and I thought maybe it was a troll, a Poe, but it's since showed up on a few different news sources, not all of them incredibly credible, but credible enough that I'm starting to believe that it might be true. Now, if later on I do find that it's a troll, I'll admit it. But the sad part is, it's hard to tell anymore because I could really, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked that this is happening. So we all know about the 157,000 genders that people like Riley Dennis and Milo Stewart wants us to believe in. And we know that the regressives push hard to get acceptance of this stuff. I mean, look at what's happening up in Canada. But today we're going to take a look at an article that has to do with the police force in England, Scotland Yard. And like I said, this is found on a few different spots. I'll put the link below to where I'm reading from. It is from the Daily Mail. Yeah, I know. But it had a few more bits in it that the other articles on it didn't have. So I thought I'd read from here. But they're all pretty much the same. If you want to look and see how many stories there are, just go to Google, type in gender fluid cop UK, and it'll pop up all over the place. And you'll see I'm not making this up. So like I said, I'd sat on it for a while because I just couldn't quite believe it. But the more I sat on it, the more instances of an article I started to see. And, well, let's take a look at what it says. So, the title. Scotland Yard police officer becomes Britain's first gender fluid Bobby with 2 ID cards in the names of Abby and Callum. Yeah, folks, I didn't misread that. The officer worked as a man for 13 years, but is relieved he can be seen as both. It follows a Met Diversity campaign after Cressida Dick's appointment as commissioner. An ex-senior officer has criticized the campaign with police budgets being cut. So, yeah. We finally come to it. Where our police, at least they're in the UK, and who's to say it won't happen here? Yeah, they're going to be accepting of your gender fluidity. But there's a few problems with this, as I'm sure you've already become aware. But let's go back to the article. A Scotland Yard police officer has become Britain's first gender fluid cop and is carrying 2 ID cards in the name of Abby and Callum. Yeah, I can just see how that first meeting went, can't you?
Hey, Sarge.
Yeah, what's up, Callum?
No longer going to be known as Callum today.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'll be known as Abby today.
You don't say.
No, Callum. No, Abby, I mean, Callum, I mean, Abby, I mean...
Abby, Callum, Abby, Callum, Abby, Callum, Abby.
Wow. Yeah, anyway, let's go back to the article. Their identity has otherwise remained hidden. Of course it has. But they are now identifying as both genders after 13 years serving as a man, following the Met's Bring Your Whole Self to Work diversity initiative. You were only bringing part of yourself? Yeah, I get it. I know what they're trying to say, but come on. Every time you go to work, you really bring your whole self. You might suppress part of it. You know, there's things appropriate to talk about and to do at work, and there's things not appropriate to talk about and do at work that have to do with your personal life. But you still bring them with you. Although the officer was terrified when they first came to work, yeah, they are now relieved that they are being accepted without having to hide anything. Good grief. The officer told the Sun, "The first time I walked into a Met building as Abby, I was hyperventilating so much I almost passed out." Not surprising there, Snowflake. Abby is a part of me that exists, and I want that part to be recognized and validated. Of course you do, and so do the rest of your ilk. But most of us understand that we all have all different sides to us. It doesn't mean that we're one person one day and one person the next. It's just our moods and our feelings change from day to day. Doesn't mean we have to dress up as a different gender or as genderless as the case may be, or put on makeup or any of that stuff. And why does this have to be validated at your job? Anyway, I'm still the same person whether I'm presenting as Callan or Abby. Are you now? Now, I don't know how it works in the UK, but here in the States, like if you give out a speeding ticket or you arrest someone, the police officer often has to show up in court to answer questions for somebody they might have arrested and that's on trial. Now, what happens if they arrested that speeder as Callum, but they felt like Abby that day and show up? Gonna cause a few problems. Are you Officer Callum? No, I'm Officer Abby. Well, did you arrest this man for speeding? No, that was Officer Callum. I'm Officer Abby. Yes, of course, I'm going a little overboard with it, and purposely so. But you see the point. Be a little bit confusing for the court, don't you think? I really hope they keep this person on the desk. Not to mention, can you imagine the laughs? You know, police officers are supposed to have at least a modicum of respect from the citizens they're there to protect. How could you not laugh at Officer Abby? I'm sorry. And another question. Does this mean that when they're Officer Abby that they're legit to frisk a female prisoner? Because, you know, I know at least here in the States that when a male officer arrests a female, they will call a female officer to come and frisk them to avoid any kind of sexual allegations. So, if this person is identifying as Abby that day, are they okay to frisk a female officer? And maybe not okay to frisk a male officer? Or the other way around? I'm getting confused. I can imagine what the poor constituents for this Bobby how confused they might be. Anyway, on we go. However, with police budgets being slashed across the country, the Met's former detective chief inspector, Mick Neville, believes the money put into the program would be better spent elsewhere. Amen, Mick. I'm with you there, buddy. However, an extra £28.8 million was announced for the Met in February. Right. Senior officers constantly complain about lack of funding, Mr. Neville told The Sun. But there will always be enough to fill a diversity unit to run crazy schemes like this. When new commissioner Cressida Dick took the role, she said diversity was at the heart of her role and confirmed she was in a same-sex relationship with a colleague. I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Not that being in a same-sex relationship means anything today, but it kind of colors this article a little bit and makes it a little understanding. She said last month that her commitment to diversity will mark me out as a chief officer. Really? So you want that to be what you're remembered for. How about protecting your citizens? Anybody remember Manchester? There's a definite influx in Britain of Islamic terrorists, apparently. Or, what have you. I think that personally I would, if I was commissioner, I'd rather be known as somebody that cleaned up crime and made my city safer. After all, isn't that your job as a police officer? But apparently, according to Cressida Dick, what a name, I can't say it without laughing. He's a dick. According to Cressida Dick, it's more important to be known as the person that brought in gender fluid bobbies. Oh, my aching head. Oh, let's get back to this so we can get through it, shall we? I really am getting a headache from this. Earlier this month, it emerged Northampton police were ditching traditional helmets for gender-neutral baseball caps. I got no problem with that. I always thought those helmet-looking things looked a little silly to me. But hey, here in the States, most female officers and male officers' uniforms are very much the same. The force said they were cheaper, safer, and more comfortable, adding that unisex hats would also be preferable for recruits from the non-binary transgender community. Oh my gosh, I don't doubt they're more comfortable. I wear ball caps or trucker caps, whatever you want to call them, myself, and that's what they've went to. But preferable from the non-binary transgender community. To all my friends in the UK that are seeing this, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry this is happening to you. How long before your bobbies are more concerned on whether their makeup is on straight or their correct pronouns are being used? No, my pronoun is zer, officer, and zay, officer. Oh my goodness. You see the slippery slope y'all are going down here, right? I can't be the only one. And in April, Dyfed-Powys Police, hope I pronounced that right, in West Wales said they were issuing identical outfits to male and female officers to make transgender people more comfortable. Now, as I said here in the States, that's already a thing, pretty much identical outfits for male or female, but it's not to make transgender people more comfortable. It's just more viable. They can buy all the same thing, probably get it at a cheaper rate, and it makes it more uniform. Referring to staff specifically as policemen or women was also being outlawed while single-sex toilets were being reviewed. Jeez, how far down the rabbit hole are you going to go down this way, Cressida Dick? How far? You can't even refer to him as a policewoman or a policeman? What do we call them now? Police thing? Police it? Police zer? Police z? Hey you? Gee. In March, HSBC announced transgender customers could choose from 10 gender-neutral titles, including MR, an abbreviation for mystery, Mr, which combines Miss and Sir, and IND for individual. Oh my God. Oh, you're killing an old man here. Royal Bank of Scotland has ditched using mother's maiden name as a security question because of the risk of offending non-traditional families. Really? Using your mother's maiden name as a security question is offensive? Oh, how big a snowflake could people be? How thin-skinned? Oh my gosh. Scotty, beam me up. I'm ready to get off. So, anyway, thankfully, that is the end of this article. And I hope you've enjoyed it, because I sure haven't. Oh, my head hurts. And anyway, as always, get out of my yard.